and everyone keep the questions coming, and we'll answer them at the end of the session. Thanks. Okay, Des.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm going to talk about the South Laois area, particularly because my knowledge is very much localized for this area, but it does cover significant parts of the county. What you see, the map on the left-hand side, if you look at it first, you'll see the reason for this floodplains is the number of rivers. I'm getting something else in here. You've got the Nore, the Gully, the Erkana, and the Gowl, and all of these form part of the floodplain that feeds into the River Nore, which heads south, as you on the right-hand side of the map. This area, particularly the area in the box, is an SAC, and talk further about that on the right-hand side, which is the Shanahoe Wetland. Now that is known as the Mash in local terms, and that is classed as the Mash because on the right-hand side you see Mash Bridge and there's a Mash River. So it's called various things, but at the moment we'll call it the Shanahoe Wetlands. So how are these areas managed, these floodplain grasslands managed? Well, first of all, this area in the blue is very deep floods in the winter. This area here, and it forms, that's a very species-rich grassland, which is harvested post the 1st of July, and that can be the 5th, 7th, 6th, 7th, or 8th and 9th of July. There's no fertilizer put on that, and each plot is hay cut and then is after grass for cattle throughout the rest of the next few months, next 3 months, because the area in actual fact is flooded, fully flooded from November to March and becomes very deep. It can be a deep lake. These are actually half-yearly lakes almost in that area. Some parts are left wild, which is actually very useful for some of the biodiversity that is there. And the mix is a very wide range of grasses and flowers in that area. Now the drains, the whole area is divided by drains with some old fencing, but in general, it's just the drains, which are actually quite deep in places. And then if you put a lake on top of that, it can be quite dangerous in winter. So I wouldn't advise anybody to go out there on their own. The difference here is that area is hay and grassland and species rich. But this area all along here, this all floods as well. Large areas of it floods along here, but that is commercial farming of every type. Well, very often, everything cattle, dairy, sheep, can be anything. So there's a difference of situation here in these two areas, even though they're floodplains of rivers. In terms of what you see and what you get in this area here, this is a fantastic area for wildlife of every sort. And you get all the spring flowers, you get blackthorn, hawthorn, spindle, alder buckthorn, orchids, various types of orchids, including green-winged orchids, which are quite rare. There's one site there that has an area with hundreds of spikes of the flowering green-winged orchid. You also get all, as I said, spring flowers, cowslips, bluebells, white bluebells is a very wide range of. You also get lots of butterflies. It's fantastic in late June into July, and that's why I said some of the areas that are left wild are very useful, because there are excuse me, there are thousands of green-veined white butterfly, meadow brown butterfly, and you get good numbers of brimstone and small copper out there, which the small copper numbers are dropping, but you do get them out there quite good, decent numbers of. The mammals in the area, you get Irish hare, along with what we'd call our common mammals, but you get Irish hare, you get stoat, and you get otter in the river. And you get otter in most of these rivers along here, actually. And it's a fantastic sight to watch them playing and fishing and eating and swimming. In winter, this area here becomes, as I say, when it's flooded, now it does get too deep, but the perimeter of this area, plus all of this area along here and all of these river floodplains are very important for overwintering birds. And you get species like golden plover, lapwing, lesser blackback gulls, black-headed gulls, hooper swans. We have a flock of about 170 hooper swans in the area. Now they're all very mobile, but they're very mobile because in terms of feeding and whether there's if it's frozen or if it's good feeding in different areas, or if they're shooting, as there are gun clubs in the area, the birds move, and they're very interchangeable with North Kilkenny, and you'll often see flocks that would be in this area today, and tomorrow they're actually down there. There's areas around Galmoy and around Urlingford in North Kilkenny would actually have good numbers of the birds that would have been seen a day earlier, or vice versa, in South Laois. In terms of, we've curlew in the area, a flock of about 100 curlew at the moment, and then you've got widgeon, teal, shoveler, and very good numbers of pintail duck, which actually favour some of the areas over here and up here as well when it's not too deep. The main along this area down towards Cullahale, that area there, there's a area called Raheen Lee, which is actually very good for duck and have hundreds of duck in it and include a lot of pintail. In this area here, I would have actually recorded over 100 species of birds in recent times, which is good numbers for an inland county and a particular relatively small area of an inland county. The
couple of minutes, Des.
Okay, this area here now is as I said, is mentioned, is very much commercial farming. So this brings up some of the issues that are a problem and potential problem for the future. As I see it, we are getting wetter winters, we're getting wetter years, and we're getting more rainfall. Therefore, we're having an issue with farmland being flooded for longer periods, which is becoming a very big bone of contention. It's not so much this group of farmers in this area, because there's always flooded, it's been deep floods, and they're under a particular class scheme, and therefore they get paid for doing such. And so long as it doesn't flood in May, June, they're happy, because they get a good cut, get a good few months then of grazing or hay first and then grazing afterwards. But when you get to areas down here, which are dairy farms, beef farms, whatever it might be, and you get 50, 60, 70% of the farm is actually flooded for weeks and could be months, it is a sore point. And these areas here are, all of this area, as a floodplain and all the rivers around, they are actually taking water that from rapidly going down the Nore. And if that, the usual comment is, can we drain the rivers? Can we clean the rivers? Can we get rid of the water? And the first thing will happen is down the Nore and into Kilkenny and flood Kilkenny. So the people in this area and the farmland, landowners and farmers need to be recognised, I would say, as providing a society service by holding water on their lands. And that needs to be talked about in the future in terms of whatever schemes are going. That is a service that needs to be recognised.